Hi, so this is a guide to how to sync your audio. And you're syncing your audio to your video if you've recorded an interview and you've got back and you've got to upload your video and your audio separately and you want them to match up in Premiere. And the first thing you need to do is organize your folders well. So you can see here I've got under Vince Gem is the name of my project. I've got my usual folders: audio, graphics, output, renders, and video. And so we're gonna, in my video, I'm gonna upload things in various folders, and one of them is Vince, and that's all different shots of Vince chatting throughout an interview, and the other one is audio. And you can see I've got an originals folder there. So the first thing I'm going to do is copy over from the SD card from my audio into that originals folder so that I can leave it there before any editing occurs elsewhere. I've got two files because I've recorded with the Tascam in dual mono, which means that I've got one wave file louder than the other. They're both the same audio, but one is louder than the other in case one of them is too loud. And I thought I'd use this example because that's indeed what I did. So I'll just show you the difference. So if we look at the first one, that's at the normal level. I'm just going to drop that into Adobe Audition. And you can see it's too loud. You can see there's peaking there. It's flattened out at the top, which is a short sign that you've reached the peak, and it's flattening, so it's distorting.
Exactly. Grenoble École de Management. And it works
and it happens elsewhere. You can see there, it's not quite there hitting red, but if I play over here, you can see that that's touched the red again. So it's recorded too loudly. So I'm going to use another one which I recorded at 10 dB lower, and you can set that at the Tascam. That maybe have been a bit too low, but I was being extra safe, and you can see that's a lower signal and there's no flat peaks anywhere, so that's a good healthy sound. It might be a little bit low, but that's okay. So I've decided to use that, and before I do anything else, I'm not going to edit those original files. So I'm going to copy the one I want down to the original Vince audio folder before I start editing that. And the one I'm going to copy is the one that's 10 dB lower. And now I've got a copy there of the one I'm going to use, and it's a good idea to name that something useful now. So that's Vince audio there. So that's the one I'm going to start editing now, and if I make any mistakes, I can copy back from my original. So I'm going to load that into Adobe Audition to do a couple of things. I can see that the volume was loud at the beginning, and so I'm just going to bring that down a wee bit before I normalize the whole lot. So I'm just making a few adjustments to my audio to level it out just a little bit. I can add compression later in Premiere, but as you can see, I'm just bringing down the very loudest bits, just so that when I normalize things, everything will go up to a good level. I wouldn't worry about doing that too much yourself. It's just I'm being a little bit perfectionist there, going to the very loudest peaks and bringing them down a bit so that the whole thing will normalize very well. But as I say, you don't really need to worry too much about this kind of thing. What you do need to do once you're ready is normalize that now, which means finding the highest peak and bringing everything up to the same level. And that looks distorted, but that's because I was zoomed in a bit. So that's a good level now. And if I save that, but the important thing is I'm going to save as in the same location, but I'm going to change it from mono to stereo. There are other ways to do it, but this is the best way to do it because it will maintain the right volume level. And we're making it stereo to make our lives easier when linking it up with stereo sound that already exists in the video in Premiere. So that's quite an important step. You need to change it to stereo to make your life easier. So now we can go into Premiere and we're going to load in our video and our audio. Okay, so we're going to create a sequence, and there's a guide elsewhere as to what the settings are. And once we've done that, we're going to load in, first of all, our audio, which should be longer than all of the video. It may be the case that you've only got one piece of video, but I've done, just for an example with Vince, I kept the audio rolling and recorded different bits of video. And if we do it that way, then we need to work backwards. So I'm going to synchronize the video to the audio from the end, because otherwise things get very messy. So always do it from the end. And now we're ready to synchronize. So I'm going to select the video and the camera audio that's attached to that, as well as our separate audio. So that's 3 items I'm selecting there. If I right click on that selection and hit synchronize, make sure audio is checked and click OK, then you will see, hopefully, that the video is shifted along. And that now is in sync with the separately recorded audio. And if you then play it whilst muting the camera audio, it should look and sound good. A lot better than the original camera audio.
And it's, I'm amazingly lucky to have such a program as part of my PhD, because, well, it's at the
So the next thing to do is to cut the good audio so that it corresponds to our original video. And to do that, we need to use Control-K to cut the points and move the in points to each section, as I'm doing here. So there we go, Control-K, and then drag that in point to the next in. Move along, Control-K, until the whole lot's done. So finally, we want to link up the separate audio with our original video, because if we accidentally move around the video, we might lose sync. So what we need to do there is unlink, first of all the video and the camera audio. If we select all of that, unlink it, and then start relinking everything, you can see at the moment, everything's unlinked there. The video isn't attached to any. But if I select all 3 there, right click, and then link, then we'll be in a much better position for our editing. Nothing will go out of sync. So you can now see, once that's done, that I can cut that clip, and then the little bit that's left over I can drag around and everything stays synchronized. So it's probably best to leave that all alone as a sequence. I'm just going to save that there, a new version, because I've done quite a bit of work I don't want to lose. So if we create a new sequence now, we can leave Vince's original sequence of synchronized interview alone, and we can just copy little bits we want into our main sequence whilst leaving this bit of work we've done alone. So that's it really. You've synchronized all your separate audio to the camera work, and now you can copy and paste in bits of Vince's audio to the main sequence. You're all synced up and ready to go. Well done.